The moment is here, you can stop your search. It's Comics by Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. What's something comics are doing right? Okay, there's a million comments on what they're doing wrong, and in many cases, at least for me, I'm not speaking for anybody else, but for myself, when I talk about something that comics are doing wrong, it's not from a spirit of pointing and laughing. It's from a perspective of, hey, here's a chance to course correct. Here's a chance to adjust. And I think that's probably why, some of the comments and people, when they've looked at this channel, it's like, Perch is very, very milquetoast. Oh, he helps the industry. Yeah, because to some extent, I do want to help the industry. I want to help it get past some of these issues. I want to help it grow and evolve and change and look at things in a different way. And if you run a company, or you've worked at a high level of company, or you've consulted for a company, have done all three, then, you realize that just coming in and kind of smashing the door down doesn't work. I can always tell somebody who is either not managed people or not managed people well. Sometimes it's both of those. When they kind of brag about, I came in and I laid the law down. I told everybody, shut up and just get stuff done. My way or the highway. This is how it's going to be. And they say that as if, by kind of telling this story that their penis is growing like by an extra foot. But the opposite is it's usually true. It's not how you manage. It's not how you lead people. No, you don't lead people through kind of sopping kindness, but you do lead people through coaching. You lead people through, hey, I'm not gonna varnish this criticism. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you as accurately, as succinctly as possible. But I'm also going to give you some ways out of it. I'm going to give you some ideas, and frankly, a good leader is somebody who goes, yeah, here's something that you need to work on to get better. And I'm jumping down the trenches with you, and I'm going to help you get it better. I'm going to be pulling for you as much as if you're putting in the effort, I'm putting in the effort. That's kind of the way it should go. But at any rate, a lot of the criticism comes to that place. So what is something that comics are doing well? Well, there's one area that I think is half well that I want to talk about today. It's the right start. It's the wrong finish. And it may be this may come as a different surprise to you, although I'll probably put something in the thumbnail that will spoil it, or I'll just put something in there like Kathleen Kennedy is a bitch, or something like that. And trick everybody. It's always fun. Yeah, the problem when I trick people, by the way, is the people who are looking forward to that kind of content dislike it because I've trolled them and tricked them, and the people who who would in theory appreciate the joke of the trolling don't listen to the video, and they just see the headline like, oh, it's one of those Nazi guys, and they get disliked. So it gets screwed by everyone. Anyway, one thing comics has done more recently, or in the last several years, is they've done a better job of looking outside the U.S. for talent. Now, in some cases, in many cases actually, they're doing that for the wrong reasons. They're doing it for cost reasons. It's cheaper to get people from outside. But the idea is not bad. In fact, in a very weird way, as comics talks about diversity a lot in terms of the creator types. Diversity is a good idea. It's just my view of it is probably different from these companies when they talk about diversity. My view is you should go for diverse storytelling styles, diverse ideas, diverse concepts of where these characters should go, not breaking the mold of the character. When I say, changing the way a character goes, I don't mean you wake up one morning and decide Wolverine is suddenly gay. I mean, somebody who's going to say, you know what, I'm a master suspense / horror storyteller. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to be coached on how to write a good comic, but I'm going to bring that style. And somebody else is coming in saying, I've really mastered kind of how, Korean storytelling works. And so I'm going to bring that style. Kind of like, Peach Momoko, what she's done with the Demon Days series is a good idea. It's interesting. It's different. And best of all, it's marketed exactly as it is. There's no, you wouldn't be tricked in picking up that comic and go, oh, what the hell? This is not the gritty crime noir book I was expecting. This is something completely different. You know what it is. And so I think there's this massive opportunity the comic companies have, the publishers have, of getting some really diverse storytellers. And that's it. It's diverse storytelling. It's somebody, torn, but people, people from the Nordics, people from Europe, people from South America, people from Asia, people from Australia who tell kind of stories in a unique style, be it writers or artists. I think this is something that the comic publishers have recently gotten much better at, of reaching out to kind of these different regions and finding some of these different people. And I think that's great. So I think that's something they're doing well. But I did mention half well. So why just half well? Well, the other half is a lot of times these storytellers come in, but editorial molds them and pushes them to write the same old style of US comics, same storytelling, and disregard kind of what they brought to the table in the first place. And I've now heard, and there's not just me, I mean, there's stories out there now of a number of the creators from South America in particular, but also parts of Europe, the Nordics, who come in, and the editors basically have only two directions they give them. Either number one, tell the most stereotypical, like tell a story that is going to be so almost blatantly racist in some ways, because it's stereotyping what people think the South America or Norway's like. Torun Grobek, who is doing who's now got a lot of comics going from Marvel, is I think a good storyteller, but writes in a unique way. And you could see kind of the impact of editing on her, where when she's writing something that's in her zone, that's comfortable, that is kind of her storytelling method, the pages really feel quite strong, and the story goes real well. And there's other stories where it feels extremely bland. And you look at that and you go, how much interference is going on in this? Because the ones that are bland don't sound like her, if that makes any sense. It doesn't sound like her storytelling style. I've got an artist from South America who was told to either lean heavily into what this white New York editor believed that South American people look like, or adjust the style to look more US centric. Why go and get that person in the first place? Why, what's the point of that? And if you're going to bring in a writer from kind of a diverse, regional background or storytelling background, you can't have them do something other than just tell stories exactly where they are. I think the Torun is doing this, was it Realm of X book? And it is it's like, hey, what happens if we go to, Norwegian Asgardian folklore with the X-Men? It's like, I hope you didn't pick her just because of where she lives. That's not why you did it, right? You realize that she can tell kind of rich stories in this model without having being a cliche about where she lives. I don't know. I mean, do you know what I mean? Keep in mind, I think that when all is said and done, Torun Grobek's Red Sonja is going to wind up being pretty great. And a lot of the Marvel work will feel a little watered down. I hope not. And by the way, that's not a shot at her, but that's the other half. I think that, Marvel and DC, they've done a much better job of going out and getting kind of different writers from different areas. And in theory, they should be tapping into a kind of a rich well of different storytelling ideas and styles that, if marketed correctly, would be really powerful. But they need to not screw it up by either one saying, hey, you're a Native American, so you get to write Native American stories. No, don't do that. Native American folklore, for that matter, is pretty rich. There's a lot of really great kind of mythological stories. It would be okay to, have somebody who's a very good quality. And keep in mind, in all this talk about diverse storytellers, I am taking it as a given that you're hiring good quality writers, of course, and artists. I'm not saying you just go out to Spain and find somebody because they live in Spain. There are talented people out there. You got to go for the talented people. It doesn't always, I know, come through. But if you get a kind of a Native American writer who's a good writer, who's really kind of well-versed in telling really rich, kind of powerful stories, you could put them on Thor. White Norwegian god, and Asgardian, that kind of the legend. You can have Thor told from that perspective, because somebody who's a master kind of folklore storyteller would do a good job of that character. You don't have to go, wow, we'd give this person Thor, but Thor is blonde and white. So I don't know. Can we do it? Does anybody want to do a Danny Moonstar series or a James Proudstar 4-issue series? Anybody up for that? I don't know. And maybe we try that? For that matter, why not go find a writer from, Tokyo, Japanese writer, who is, does a really good job of telling kind of dense metropolitan stories, these kind of, the city is alive kind of, tales, and put that person on Spider-Man and have that kind of storytelling come to life in Manhattan. Spider-Man lives. I mean, I'm just saying you could do stuff like that. But anyway, that's something I do. I think that the talent reach out to other regions is a positive development. Again, done for some of the wrong reasons, namely cost. But there's an opportunity there to seize if the comic companies will do it. So here's hoping. Anyway, thanks for listening.